How's it going, everyone? And welcome to the Barclays Premier League season review, where me and Johnny, who also has a YouTube channel, which I'll link in the description below, we're going to be talking about the Premier League this year, relegation battles, the Championship, like who won the Championship, all that kind of stuff. So, Johnny, would you like to say hello?
Hello everyone, obviously I'm Johnny, and like Daniel said, we're going to be talking about the Premier League, how things have gone over the last 12 months or so, transfers that have happened that we were surprised about, and the battle for the title, or lack of a battle, and the relegation battle.
Right, so we're going to start in just overall the Premier League. Like, what have we thought about the Premier League and which teams have surprised us? I think one like the big surprise this year for me has been Southampton. Even though I know they had a good season last year, this season when they lost all the good players like Lambert, Lallana, people like that, Luke Shaw, I thought that they'd actually be really struggling. And I honestly, at the start of the season, thought they'd be in a relegation fight.
Mm.
And for them to come seventh, I think that's been a really good season for them.
I think I would probably agree that Southampton were a bit of a surprise package purely because of how many good players they lost, especially like you say Luke Shaw, Lallana. Really impressive. As well, Dejan Lovren, who had a great season for them last year, but then this season has been absolutely shocking for Liverpool.
Yeah.
I think for me, the biggest surprise would be, I think I'm gonna go with Everton, finishing in the bottom half after getting Europa League football last
Yeah.
season, playing some good stuff under Martinez, to capitulate in quite the way they did this season. And for a lot of the season, they were almost in a relegation battle. I think nobody had predicted that.
Definitely not.
Um,
Another thing as well when you talk about Everton there, if you look, I can see the league table on my screen. I think can you on yours as well, Johnny?
yeah,
Um, Basically West Ham as well. They had such a good start to the season, and now for them, I suppose that's not really a bad finish. Would you say 12th? It's not. It's not terrible. They were never in danger of getting relegated or anything like that. But when you like you say for a lot of the season, Everton were in a relegation battle, like for a little bit, and West Ham haven't been. For them to actually end up finishing equal on points with Everton is a bit like, you know, bit
yeah.
of a bad ending. And as obviously yesterday they got beat by Newcastle, who couldn't string any wins together. So bit disappointing for them.
I think, like you say, before the season, if you'd offer them 12th and said, "Oh, you'll get the same
Yeah,
amount of points as Everton," they'd have said, "Yeah, please, thanks."
yeah,
Just like you say, I think the way they started, everyone was shocked with. They were almost like the Southampton of the first half of the season.
yeah.
So for them to drop off so dramatically was a shock. I think a
Another
lot of it
team
had to
I've
do
been
with Sam
really,
Allardyce.
really, yeah. Another team who I've really been disappointed with this season. I know they haven't really been up there for a while now. They've been around where they are, apart from last season when obviously they came runners up. But Liverpool, obviously everyone
Mm.
knew that they weren't going to do as well as last season with losing Suarez and people like that. But I mean, when you've just came second in the league, you don't want to be dropping to sixth. You've kind of gone back,
Yeah,
where really you want to keep it going forwards. Like if you're in a relegation battle one year, you want to be getting high up the league the next year. Whether you come second in the Premier League next like one year, the next season you've got to be looking to try and win it. But Liverpool just kind of done the opposite. And I mean, signing Ricky Lambert after you've got rid of Luis Suarez for me isn't like he's a good player, yes, but that's just not he's not on the same ability as like he's not on the same level as Suarez.
he's definitely not what Liverpool needed. I mean, I think, like you say, you've got to be improving year on year. And especially, I think Brendan Rodgers himself said after Tottenham's spending of the Bale money, and they spent about 100 million on something like 6 players. He said if you spend 100 million, you want to be fighting for the title, and it's come back and bitten him this year.
Yeah.
Because he spent about the same amount and he's ended up sixth, below Tottenham, having finished second, which is just
Yeah.
poor by anyone's standards.
Let's look at the relegation battle now. Obviously, if you didn't know, me and Johnny are both Sunderland fans, both
All right,
season
lads.
ticket holders. I myself got quite a lot of away games. I think Johnny, you like going to away games, don't you?
I love going to away games. I
When
just
they
never
go.
get to go to many.
See, um, it's just How can I put this? We're not going to be biased, is what I'm trying to say. Even though we are Sunderland fans, and we're over the moon that Sunderland stayed up, but we are going to give like a fair point of view of how Sunderland's season went as well. Um, did you think the three teams that went down deserve to go down? Obviously, the league table says they did, but
Yeah, I mean the
would you
league
like
table
any of them
doesn't
to stay up?
lie. I think
Would you like any of them to stay up?
I would have liked Burnley still because I like them and I like Sean Dyche, but I'm glad QPR went down because I think they go about it the wrong way, and I'm glad Hull went down because I think Bruce mismanaged them terribly. He signed a lot of players in the summer who they didn't need, the likes of Snodgrass. Even though he got injured, he wasn't a good signing, I think, and
Yeah,
he just signed a lot of players without expecting, or rather without knowing what to do with them. And I think that's come back to
yeah,
bite them.
yeah. I would agree. I'm happy Bruce went down in a way. As you can see, I've got a little picture of him there with his hand on his head and his little red chubby cheeks. I'm glad he went down, but at the same time, I don't know how to feel about Newcastle staying up because in a way it's good because the derby game's the only real game we look forward to in the season from like a Sunderland fan's perspective.
Yeah,
But then from
definitely.
another perspective, I've also been a Sunderland fan. If Newcastle went down after saying that we've been going to go down the whole season, and beating them twice to send them down, that would be amazing, really, wouldn't it? Proper give you the bragging rights.
Yeah, it would have definitely given us the bragging rights. I mean, we have them already, really.
But yeah, but even then they finished above us with a point. But I mean,
Ah,
like I said, I'm not going to sound biased, but let's just put it out there: we secured safety before them, so there's nothing they can say. And we beat them twice, so top dogs and all that shite doesn't work with me, Jonathan. Does not
yeah,
work
I
with me.
agree. Just on the subject of Newcastle, though, I think I wouldn't say it's karma, but I think it shows that you've got to stick by a manager, regardless of sort of meaningless. I don't know how to say it, but his Derby record. Oh, I said that really
Yeah,
slow. His Derby record
the
was really poor,
yeah,
and it's definitely contributed to them wanting him out, which has then led to them getting Carver, the best coach in the Premier League, who's nearly took
I
them
agree. I
took them
think he's the
down.
best coach in the Premier League.
But he nearly took them
Um,
down, and I think they would have, brought it on themselves a bit. So it just shows sticking with a manager like Leicester did with Nigel Pearson isn't always a bad thing.
well, look at West Ham last season when they got absolute, or might even been this season. I think it was last season. When they got thumped out the FA Cup. Yeah, it was
Mm,
last season. Like it was like 5-0 something by Nottingham
against
Forest or
Nottingham
something like
Forest.
that. And they were at that time dropping down the league, and everyone was like Allardyce out. Now, even though they've dropped towards the end of the season, and Allardyce has left now, or he is leaving because his contract's not getting renewed. But look what he did really at the start of the season.
Yeah,
From being in relegation fight and getting thumped out of the FA Cup to coming 12th in the Premier League with a very good start, I think it just goes to show you how like stability is like key. And like you say, Leicester,
yeah,
um, but also what like Newcastle and Liverpool, they're kind of the same. Like they both kind of need to keep improving. Whereas obviously Liverpool had a good season last year. I think it was 2 seasons ago or 3 seasons ago when Newcastle just missed out on Champions League by like a
2012, I
place.
think.
Yeah, and now they're in a relegation fight. It's just like how's it got to that? You know what I mean?
Well, similarly, you
Um,
could say us because in 2011 Bruce got us to 10th, a fact that
exactly.
he reminds us of a lot. But he got us to 10th, and since then we've lost Ben, we've lost Sean, we've lost Welbeck, etc. And now look where we are with Danny Graham.
Exactly. It's um, it's stability is key, which is why I hope Dick Advocat stays as Sunderland manager and we get a few good players in.
Even without thinking of stability, I think it's important to keep Dick Advocat purely because he's a good manager. And I think
Yeah,
if we're bringing in a sort of new, untried and untested coach like, say, Paul Clement from Real Madrid, who looks like he's going to Derby,
Mm.
we'd probably struggle because he wouldn't be able to track the best players and he would be trying to find his feet. And we're not in a position to do that. We need someone who knows what they're doing with experience to come in and rebuild us.
Yeah. Quickly touch on Aston Villa. What do you think of Tim Sherwood's job that he's done so far? Obviously, he's got them at the FA Cup final, but what do you think of the league form that he's them up and stuff?
Well, to be honest, I think he's been sort of the definition of new manager bounce because I think he came in, he won the games against West Brom in the league and in the cup. He's gotten the Wembley, so anything we say negative about him, you can balance it out with that. You know, he's obviously done very
Yeah.
well to get in the Wembley.
The only thing I think is he's won the games he had to keep them up, but I wouldn't say he's probably
Yeah.
took the league by he hasn't took it by storm as you see some teams do when they get a new manager.
I mean,
For example, look at Crystal Palace. They've just flew up the league and end up finishing in 10th position when they were down there at a certain part of the season before Pardew took over. Now I know Villa was never going to do that because I don't think they're that quality of club, especially the way they've been playing this season. But I thought they would. I mean, they only ended up finishing one place above the relegation zone, and even we finished above them. So I would have thought they'd finished a little bit higher. But congratulations for them getting to Wembley and stuff.
Obviously, yeah, well done getting to Wembley, and a day at Wembley's always fantastic, as we know from last season. But I think he did well, but I think it's always a struggle to motivate the players once you've got something like a cup final on the horizon and you've already basically secured safety.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Plus, they came up against a Southampton side who, as we know, are very good going forward, especially at home. They scored more goals than Liverpool and 4 less than Spurs. And they were the highest scoring team outside the top 6. So obviously they've done something right this season.
For next season in the Premier League, as we know now, it just obviously came through that Norwich are going up. Norwich and Bournemouth. Who's the other team? Norwich, Bournemouth, Watford. Yeah, I think next season, I think Bournemouth will go down, if I'm honest.
Like Burnley, I think.
I know it's obviously very early days. We don't know who the teams are going to sign, anything like that. But just when you normally can predict, for example, this year, Burnley, QPR, and Leicester came up, and two out of the three's gone back down. And I think, like you say, Bournemouth will be like the Burnley, where you kind of want them to stay up because they're probably the smaller club out of all the ones that's gone up.
Yeah.
But I just don't think they have it in them to stay up. But I think Watford, I have a feeling that Watford might be able to stay up. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I just have a feeling. But then again, Norwich, they've had Premier League experience.
Yeah.
Not that long ago.
I think it was something like
8
out of the 11 players that started in the playoff final, played in their last Premier League game last season. And that's going to be very valuable to the next season because the players will know what it's all about. As much as they got relegated 2 years ago, it'll be 2 seasons ago next season. They stayed up the season before, so the players will know how you've got to go about it. I think on Bournemouth, because they're such a small club, and it's that, no offence, but they are, and it's their first ever season in the top flight. I think they'll have to spend so much money just improving sort of the facilities, the staff, that sort of thing, that by the time it comes to the playing staff, they won't be able to invest as much as other clubs without risking the financial status, which I think is something they're going to have to balance, similar to Burnley, and really think carefully about whether it's more important to have 2 seasons in the Premier League and then go bust, or have 1 season in the Premier League, be on a secure financial footing, and then come back up again, hopefully, for them.
Yeah. Let's go up to the top half of the table now, and we'll talk about the champions, Chelsea. I was there yesterday, saw them lift the cup. Obviously, I was in the Sunderland end. Um, I've always liked Mourinho. I know I take the mick as well, called boring Chelsea, that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's all about winning games, and they've won the most games in the Premier League. They've won 26 games. They've
Yeah,
scored the second most amount of goals,
conceded the
and
least.
they've conceded the least. So when your team plays like that, and they've won the league by how many points have they won the league by? 8 points, is it that they've won the league by?
Yeah,
You can't really complain
I
about Chelsea
think
being boring.
I
They've done
don't
a
think you can
job.
say they were boring.
Exactly. They've done a job. They've
Yeah,
won the title. I mean, that's what you play for in the Premier League. Obviously, we don't, because we never will. But uh, most teams play to win the title, and Chelsea's done that. I mean, Mourinho, I've always loved him. I always will. I think a tactical genius, as I always say. Um, he generally is, though. He knows what he has to do. Um,
yeah.
he knows how to get the best from his players. He knows how to motivate them. Um, I'm happy for Drogba and I'm happy for Petr Cech. They're both off in the summer. Drogba says he's got one season left or something, doesn't he, playing for another club?
Yeah, I think so.
And I'm not sure where Czech's going to, but no, they are definitely leaving. And it was nice for them to lift the title because they've been good servants for Chelsea. Um, so yeah, I am happy they won the league. I don't know about you, Johnny. I don't know what your thoughts are about them.
Well, I mean, before the season started, I think I expected them to win the league. I thought Man City would do a
Yeah,
lot better than they did, though. I didn't
definitely.
expect
Yeah,
them
I
to be
thought they
so
definitely
poor.
put more of a fight. Yeah,
Yeah. Um, the whole sort of boring Chelsea thing, I think has only come about the last few weeks, but that's when they needed to be grinding out the results. Whereas the
yeah.
early part of the season, they were just destroying teams. Was it five they put past Swansea? I think
I think so. Yeah,
results
that's
like
right. Yeah,
that. I mean, that's not boring.
yeah,
Boring
exactly.
is 0-0 against Leicester and 0-0 against
Yeah,
Stoke and terrible results like that. A 1-1 against Stoke, sorry, which we are all
0-0
too
against
familiar with.
Burnley.
Yeah. What is it? The
Um,
most draws in the league
it's
we've got? Yeah.
it's just I don't know. Every team obviously they're going to have different ways of playing football. I don't think it's right for the some Man City fans and some of us to be saying Pellegrini out and stuff like this after it was only last season where they did lift the Premier League title.
Yeah.
I think that's wrong, and they haven't exactly. I know that like we say they finished 8 points behind Chelsea, and we did expect them to put more of a fight, but like they still came second. It's not like they've done a Liverpool and they've dropped to sixth after winning the league.
Yeah.
They've came second, so they're there and thereabouts for like 3, 4 seasons in a row. And I don't know. There was an interesting thing on Sky Sports News where it showed you their team from 2011
Mm.
to the team now, and they've spent so much money, like as you know, millions and millions. But I think they said there was only like 3 players that aren't actually in the squad anymore. Not in the first team, but just in the squad.
That's
I think it
ridiculous.
was Les Scott. I thought it was Les Scott and Gareth Barry. I think, and someone else who aren't there anymore. And I don't know, with all that money they've spent, um, I would have thought that they would have put more of a challenge. And Champions League wise, let's be serious, they haven't done anything in the Champions League at
Saying
all.
that though, not many English teams have done anything in the Champions League either.
True, but at least the other clubs have actually done something over the years, like try to prove themselves.
Yeah.
Man City generally have done nothing. Have they even got out the groups?
I think they have, but there has been times that they didn't get out the groups. I think one time they didn't
It was only
even.
on
They
one
won one
occasion though,
game.
one I think. Yeah. So
I
I would,
think.
I would I would expect more from City in Europe. I would definitely say
Yeah.
that.
I think with City though, the problem is that the players they've signed have been either old, like Fernando
Yeah.
and Fernandinho, or they just haven't improved
Hmm.
the team like Mangala, and they've been so expensive that they haven't been able to make many signings because they've been under financial fair play regulations as well. This is very lonely.
Johnny?
R.I.P. Daniel.
What?
Oh, I don't say we're lagging. I can't take
Johnny?
this.
In here.
Hello?
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 What happened there?
I have no idea.
You didn't stop the recording, did you?
No.
Good lad, we're still recording. Nice. Sorry for that, guys. I don't know what happened, but you went quiet. So continue what you were saying, Johnny.
I was just about Man City. I was saying that the signings they've made haven't really improved the team, but they've cost so much money that they've taken up the
Yeah.
financial fair play, the FFP constraints. So they've been unable to bring in the sort of young talent that they would want to bring in. I think like
Yeah.
you look at Chelsea bringing in Kurt Zouma, who's the kind of signing that Man City would love to be able to make, but before they can do that, they've got to improve the team. But the signings they've made haven't improved the team, which is the problem that they've got. So they're stuck in a bit of a cycle at the minute.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Let's see who else we can talk about in the league. Who's interested you this season? Swansea. They've got
Yeah,
the
they've had a
highest
good
ever
season.
points total, and I think league position wasn't it been or something like that.
Mm,
Done really well
they
with
have,
Gary
yeah.
Monk. I thought when he sacked that Michael Laundrup, whatever he's called, I
That's
thought that was a mistake because I liked him. I thought he played good football, but I mean Gary Monk used to play for Swansea. He knows about the club, and you can't deny he's definitely done well.
Oh yeah, the highest placed
Even
English manager in the
Stoke,
Premier League this season.
yeah. Even Stokes finished well this season, ninth
Stoke have
place.
had a
Quite
fantastic
a few
season.
teams, they've kind of like swapped places. Like I would expect Swansea to be about where Everton are.
Mm.
Like I would expect Newcastle to
To
be
be where
probably where
Stoke are.
Stoke are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Um,
think.
it's been weird. It's been a weird season, I think.
Yeah, the thing is as well. You look at it. There's almost like sort of two leagues. There's like Stoke and above, ninth and above, are on 54 and above points, and then Palace, even though they're one place below them, they're 6 points below them, which is quite a big gap. So you could
Yeah.
almost say that the teams who were finishing higher, they're pulling further and further away from the bottom teams, and it's starting to create a bit of a rift.
Yeah.
So maybe the teams that are finishing higher will see continually finishing higher over the next few years with a new TV deal. Although saying that everything could change.
True. Um, I think that's about it. Would you say? Champions League football next season. I'd probably say I expected that to be the case. The four teams that were up there.
I think Manchester United
Maybe
have
I
done well
thought,
this season.
yeah, I thought Liverpool would put a bit more of a fight up, which they kind of were doing, and then they just really gone bad. Um, I like to say, uh, Gerrard, he's always been my favourite player.
Yeah.
Like kind of like a person you look up to in football. It was a shame for him to get beat 6-1 off Stoke on his last game of the season. But for in the Liverpool shirt, his last ever game wearing a Liverpool shirt to get hammered 6-1. But at least he scored. And I mean, you can't look at and laugh at him and say, "Oh, you got beat 6-1 in your last game," because what that man's done for that football club is unreal. I mean, he could have gone to Chelsea many years ago, and he would have been lifting the title yesterday. So he's respected his club. He's stayed with them. He's been loyal. He's been passionate, and good luck to him in the future. I would like to say.
Yeah. Similarly to Frank Lampard, who's been a great
Exactly.
servant for Chelsea over the years, and then to Man City this year, the consummate professional even when he scored against Chelsea. I think
Yeah,
he deserves just as much credit as Gerrard because they've both been fantastic players over the last decade or so, and both
definitely.
unfortunate not to do better with England.
I mean, what I really like about Lampard, the amount of goals he scored from midfield position, I
Oh,
think is
so
amazing.
impressive.
Like, think Gerrard's been a good player, but even Gerrard hasn't done that. So they kind of like even themselves out a bit. Gerrard's been a good player, passionate, loyal for his club. Lampard, yes, he did move to Man City, but you would say he's been passionate and loyal to his club. He wanted more game time, so he moved away, which fair dues to him. He wanted to finish his career playing just like Gerrard. It was weird seeing him play for Man City, but like you say, even when he played Chelsea and scored, he respected them and stuff like that, which is good. You wouldn't expect anything else from him. So yeah, best of luck to them too in the future.
Quickly before we
I think
go,
that's about it. Would you say?
Okay. Signing of the season for you?
Signing of the season. Oh God, this is a tough one. I'd say disappointment of the season would be Di Maria
Yeah,
for Man
would
United.
agree. For the price he's paid, I think overall he's been alright.
Yeah.
But just for the price.
Yeah. But just for the price, yeah. I would also say one of the top ones was probably Sanchez for Arsenal.
Yeah,
He's
could say that.
basically kind of been like the Di Maria signing, except for Arsenal, except he's actually done something, scored goals, stuff like that. I'm trying to think who else. Diego Costa, you can't really deny him at Chelsea. I don't really
think
like
he
them,
transformed them from the side they were last season into the title winners, arguably.
I know this person didn't just sign for them, but I'd like to say well done to Harry Kane.
Oh
He's
yeah,
had a cracking season.
yeah, very fantastic season for Tottenham. 21 league goals, I think, which was brilliant. Good for England as well. I think my sign of the season.
Costa. I think Costa scored 20.
Yeah, I think my sign of the season would probably be Fabregas for Chelsea. I think he just gave them something extra in the midfield, helped them create a bit more, and could be sort of the key man in those games against the big teams. You know, your Manchester United, your Cities, your Arsenals.
Well, I would probably say my best transfer of the season would be actually George Altidore leaving Sunderland. I thought that was thought that was upsetting.
No, that was my most disappointing signing default for Altidore.
It was like very, very disappointing actually. I thought George Altidore, the amount of goals he scored in one season was terrific. I think he should be well respected. In fact, I think a statue outside the stadium probably is in order.
Maybe two.
For him. Maybe even two, yeah, to represent all those goals he scored. But no, like in all serious note, I'm glad he left because he wasn't very good. He could hold up the ball well sometimes, but for a Premier League player, you don't just want them to hold up the ball. You want goals, especially when you're a team like Sunderland who needs goals.
He was shocking, like a dog chased a balloon by the end.
You don't want Altidore on your team.
Yeah.
What is that it, Johnny? Is that us done here?
Disappointment sign of the season for me, quickly, Jack Rodwell. No one needs to be said.
Yeah, okay.
10 million. Joke.
I thought with the games when he's been on form, he's played well. For example, I thought he played very well yesterday against Chelsea. But like you say, for the money we paid for him, 10 million for a player that hadn't really played football for a good few years, seems he was just a bench warmer at Man City. I think 10 million was a little bit too much. When he was basically unproven, really. Obviously, he was good at Everton when he was a young lad, but over the last few seasons, he hasn't been playing. So how do you know if? I mean, you could probably got someone better for 10 million.
Yeah,
so I would probably agree with you. That was disappointing. We'll be doing other types of videos like this. We're going to do, I think, are we doing a transfer one when it gets towards like in the transfer window time? We'll do like the one of like different rumours we've heard and who we'd like to see come into Sunderland. And then later on before the new season, we might do just a one dedicated to Sunderland, like talking about what we hope for Sunderland in the future and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I'd like to say thanks for watching. If you did, leave a like rating. And comment any of your views if you disagree with anything we said or if you agree with anything we said. It all means a lot. We're both two young channels, with little subscribers. So any support you give means a lot. And we'll see you in the next video.
See you guys.